Hello everyone, Tutu Mora here with the Y, bringing you tools to feel well in your body, mind, and spirit. So today we are going to be activating those glutes in a new way that's going to be easy on the knees. And so you won't need any props, you'll just need a yoga mat or a soft surface to lie down on. And I'll go ahead and meet you down on the mat. So, lying down, knees bent, hip distance apart. Okay, so while you're here, let's just first allow those leg bones to drop into the back of the hip socket. And breathing as if you were going to breathe out through your sit bones. So widening that space on your inhale and bringing it back together on your exhale. So let's take a couple deep breaths just like that. Beginning to engage that space. Taking that breath also to the hip bones now. So if you want, you can bring your hands to your hip bones. Inhaling, widening that space. Exhaling as it comes back together. And now bringing your hands to the bottom of your rib cage. So bringing them to either side of your body. And as you inhale, feeling your hands, your rib cage expand out into them. One more time, inhaling deeply, laterally into the rib cage. And exhaling, bringing that back together. And so now, as you continue with that deep breath, we're just going to take a couple pelvic curls here. And so what that means is imagining your back pants pockets as if you had them on your pants, like the pockets you have on the back of your jeans. So you have the bottom of your pants pockets by your sit bones and the top of your pants pockets by your hip bones. And so right now in your neutral pelvis, your weight will be resting right between that bottom and the top of those back pants pockets. So let's start to curl that tailbone, shifting that weight, tilting that pelvis, so your weight is resting now on the top of those pants pockets, so by your hip bones. And then bringing yourself back into neutral, and then taking that across neutral into your extension. So gently imprinting your tailbone into the mat, shifting your weight now to the bottom of those back pants pockets. And let's just take that back and forth here, tilting towards the top of those back pants pockets, all the while letting those legs rest heavy in the sockets. And then taking it across the neutral into your extension. Weight towards the bottom of the back pants pockets, gentle imprint of the tailbone. Taking it back and forth here, pelvic curl, and pelvic extension. So gently just warming up that lower lumbar spine. And so we'll take it one more here. And then we'll return to a neutral pelvis. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take that curl up into a bridge. And so as you bridge, you're going to first take a pelvic curl, letting your shoulders remain relaxed here. You're going to start to continue that curl as if your pubic bone is on a little elevator. You're going to lift up without squeezing the bottom. Lift up until you're in a bridge. All 3 points, those sit bones, hip bones, bottom of the rib cage, we want it to be on one diagonal plane here for your bridge. And then keeping those shoulders heavy, you're gonna just melt back down, starting with the upper body, articulating down the spine. Curl is the last thing to unwind as you return back down to the mat. So let's take that again, finding that pelvic curl, coming to the height of that curl. And then letting that lift happen through the pubic bone, gently lifting without squeezing that bottom, without the squeeze, even though it's tempting to do so, and finding those sit bones, hip bones, bottom of the rib cage in that diagonal plane. So we're gonna hold here now, gently dipping the hips down and then back up, down, and then returning to that even plane. Down for that hip dip, back up. Let's do that a few more times. Keeping those shoulders relaxed, breathing. It's very tempting just to want to hold your breath, but breathing will actually help you stay stable. And then let's just start to melt back down, starting with that sternum, keeping the shoulders soft. Pelvic curl is the last thing to unwind. And so as we're here, let's take another pelvic curl and extension. Maybe one more. And we're gonna come back up into another bridge. So let's start that curl, coming to the height of your curl before allowing that lift to come through the pubic bone. No squeeze in that butt. And then find that space, keeping your bridge at a comfortable height for you today. But ideally wanting those sit bones, hip bones, bottom of the rib cage here in that plane, in that diagonal. And so now we're just gonna dip the right side of the pelvis and then bring it back up to level. Dip that right side, back up to level. And continuing here, letting that pelvis return to level after your dip. Starting to feel that glute turn on. And of course, using this as an invitation. So maybe you need to take a little break in between the hip dips. So pausing here, let's again come back to our bridge before sinking that sternum and melting back down. Let's take another pelvic curl and extension. Maybe your legs are feeling a little shaky. Maybe those glutes feel alive and well. We're gonna take this to the other side. So let's start that pelvic curl. Again, allowing that pubic bone just to lift as you find that bridge. Again, finding the height of bridge that's comfortable for you. And now let's sink that left side, bringing it back to the equal height, sinking that little hip dip, bringing it back to level. And then taking that repetition here. Again, taking this as many times as feels good for you. So as always, letting this be an invitation. What feels good for you and your body today in this moment? And working with that, honoring how your body is feeling. Let's take one more. And then sinking that chest, making sure those shoulders stay relaxed. Curl is the last thing to unwind as you melt back down into the mat. And so here, just giving our time a little check, we're just gonna finish with a figure 4 stretch. So let's bring one ankle over the opposite thigh, bringing all of that in towards your torso, stretching out those glutes. Maybe rocking that stretch from side to side if it feels good for you. And then we'll take that over to the other side, maybe noticing how those hips feel. So oftentimes one side will be a little tighter than the other. It's also very common for one side to be stronger than the other. So just letting each side be what it is, meeting yourself where you're at today. And maybe rocking that stretch again here from side to side. And then letting those feet come back down to the mat. So I hope that you found this supportive today. I hope that your glutes perhaps woke up and now feel a little bit better able to support you. So you might want to now just take a couple steps around the room and see how it feels to walk with those glutes engaged. So hope you found this supportive once again, and I hope to see you back here on the Wise YouTube channel for more tools to feel well in your body, mind, and spirit. Take care.